Good morning, students. I welcome you again to this penultimate lecture series on figures of speech. And from the word penultimate, I think you people are quite aware of what penultimate means. Second from the last. So, this is the second from the last class on figures of speech or rhetoric as we know it. Today, again, we will be dealing with 5 figures of speech, and I hope that our previous videos have made your understanding of figures of speech, that is rhetoric, quite clear. If you haven't understood, you can go through the video once again, and you can also comment in the comment box, or you can also WhatsApp me. As for the students of Rishi Bamkin Chandra College for Women, we need to take your attendance too. So, the assignments that have been given, whether in rhetoric or in prosody, people who send in their assignments along with their roll numbers, only those people will be given attendance. This is the rule that has been established by the principal for people participating in these online classes. So the assignments are to be done and sent to the respective teachers along with your roll number. So if your assignment does not reach us, that means you are not getting your attendance for that particular class. And as you very well know, CBCS system also carries marks on attendance. So we will be forwarding these roll numbers to the office. Okay? So I hope it's clear to you. So without much delay, let us enter the figures of speech for today. So the first figure of speech that we will be dealing today with is asyndeton. Okay? So the first figure of speech that we will be dealing today is asyndeton. 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 So let us first begin with the definition of asyndeton. Okay, so write down the definition of what asyndeton is. It is, or asyndeton is, the omission of connecting conjunctions. Asyndeton is the omission, OMI, SSION, the omission of connecting conjunctions that constitutes this figure. That constitutes this figure. Full stop. The purpose of this figure is to conduce, CONDUCE, is to conduce to energy, and vividness, VIVIDNESS. Full stop. Now this is the definition of asyndeton, and you have to remember that asyndeton comes with his younger brother called polysyndeton. Okay. Now, while asyndeton, let us give certain examples and it will become clear to you. The first example from asyndeton is I came, comma, I saw, comma, I conquered, full stop. I came, comma, I saw, comma, I conquered. Now, the first inquiry that you must be having is, this sentence was also an example of climax, if you remember. If you have gone through the videos, you know that this sentence is also an example of climax. A single sentence can also be an example of other figures of speech too. So, I came, comma, I saw, comma, I conquered. So, what do we find here is, there is an omission of conjunctions here. Okay, the sentence could have been written like I came and I saw and I conquered. It could have been written in this particular way. But we have omitted the conjunctions. We have written I came, comma, I saw, comma, I conquered. So we find more than one commas in a particular sentence. That becomes an example of asyndeton. And from the very example, it becomes clear that in a particular sentence, if there is more than one conjunction used, that becomes an example of polysyndeton. Okay, we will come to that later. The second example of asyndeton, this is our tradition of providing two examples for each and every figure of speech. So our second example of asyndeton is fear, F-E-A-R, comma, pity, P-I-T-Y, comma, justice, J-U-S-T-I-C-E, comma, indignation, I-N-D-I-G-N-A-T-I-O-N, indignation, comma, start, S-T-A-R-T. Okay. So from the very sentence it becomes, in fact it is not a sentence. I haven't ended the whole thing in a full stop. So it's an incomplete sentence, I can say so. See, you will find more than one commas in this particular sentence. Fear, comma, pity, comma, justice, comma, indignation, comma, start. So where you find more than one comma, that becomes an example of asyndeton, because alternatively if you wonder, you can put conjunction in these particular words, fear and pity and justice and indignation. In that particular case, this sentence becomes an example of polysyndeton. But here we do not find any conjunction. So where there is an omission of a conjunction, that becomes an example of asyndeton. And you need to have more than one commas too. That is very important. Okay. So this is asyndeton. Now we move to the next figure of speech that we have. That is polysyndeton. P-O-L-Y, poly, syn, S-Y-N, syn, deton, D-E-T-O-N, polysyndeton. Okay. So the first point that we need to write under the heading of polysyndeton is, the opposite of asyndeton is polysyndeton. The opposite of asyndeton is polysyndeton. P-O-L-Y-S-Y-N-D-E-T-O-N. The opposite of asyndeton is polysyndeton. Comma, in which an increased emphasis is gained by an excessive use of connecting conjunctions. By an excessive use of connecting conjunctions. So from the very definition it becomes clear that this particular figure of speech, asyndeton, will have a connecting conjunction. Okay, so by the time we are dealing with polysyndeton, You must be hearing dogs barking behind me. Okay, the dogs are not behind me actually, they are outside on the streets barking. So that becomes an example of onomatopoeia once again. You are now getting distinct sounds of dog barking. Okay, uh, so coming back to polysyndeton, so where you find connecting conjunctions, more than one conjunction in a particular sentence, that becomes an example of polysyndeton. Now to give you an example again, I will quote the same example that I have used in asyndeton too. I came and I saw and I conquered. I came and I saw and I conquered. Okay, so here you find the use of and more than once in a particular sentence. So that becomes an example of polysyndeton. Similarly, the second example from polysyndeton is a line taken from Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem Ulysses. Okay, you know this particular line. You have gone through Ulysses. That hoard, Hoard, and sleep, that hoard and sleep, and feed, Feed, and no, Know, no, not me, and no, not me. I repeat the sentence again, that hoard and sleep and feed and no, not me. Okay, so again you find the excessive use of conjunction in this particular line. So this becomes an example of polysyndeton. I hope these two figures of speech are actually clear to you. Okay, so asyndeton and polysyndeton. Now we move on to the third figure of speech. Okay, so the next figure of speech that we are dealing with today is tautology. Tautology. The spelling is Tautology. 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 Let us first write down the definition of what tautology actually means. The term tautology, the term TERM, the term tautology has come from the Greek, tauto, tauto within single quotes, tauto, meaning same, SAME, and logic within single quotes, way of speaking. Logic means way of speaking. So tauto means same, and logi has come from logic, which means way of speaking. So I repeat this sentence again. The term tautology has come from Greek tauto, meaning the same, and logic, meaning the way of speaking. Now again, I suppose the definition does not quite make it easy enough for you to understand what tautology is, but examples will really help you out to understand this particular figure of speech. So the first example that you need to write down: the cold neutrality of the impartial judge. The cold neutrality of the impartial judge. The cold neutrality of the impartial judge. Okay, so this is one of the sentences that I have given you. Now the first thing that you need to notice is, in this particular sentence, there is a peculiarity to this particular sentence. There are two words that have been used in this particular sentence. The meaning of both the words are same. Can you find them? I repeat the sentence. The cold neutrality of the impartial judge. Which are those two words? So if you go through the sentence again, you will find that there are two words which are used but they have the same meaning. The cold neutrality of the impartial judge. Here the word neutrality means impartial and impartial means neutrality. So two words which are different but have or carry the same meaning in a particular sentence is an example of tautology. I give you another example. I saw that with my own eyes. I saw that with my own eyes. Now, in this particular sentence, the sentence could have ended with I saw that. You need not pronounce the other two words, own eyes. Because if you have seen it, definitely the only sense organ that can allow you to see is your eye. So there was no need to use this particular word, my own eyes. So there are again two different words, but the meaning is the same. Saw, SAW, saw means seeing, and definitely eyes means seeing. So this is again an example of tautology. Another example. He felt quite tired. He felt quite, Quite. He felt quite tired and exhausted. And exhausted. He felt quite tired and exhausted. EXHAUSTED. Now, if you go through the Oxford Dictionary, you will find that tired means exhausted and exhausted means tired. So, you find that there are two different words, but the meaning of these particular words are the same, are similar. So, this is an example of tautology. Okay, so this is the third figure of speech for today. Okay, so we come to the fourth figure of speech for today. And the fourth figure of speech for today is anaphora. ANAPHORA. The fourth figure of speech for today is anaphora. 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 Okay. Now, let us first give the definition of what anaphora is. This figure consists in the reiteration. This figure consists in the reiteration. REIT ERATION. Reiteration. Reiteration means repetition. Okay. These are all synonymous words. Reiteration of the same word, or words at the beginning of successive lines, SUCCESSIVE, successive lines, LINES, comma, clauses, 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 or sentences. Clauses or sentences. Okay. So let us first provide you the examples of what this anaphora is. We have all gone through Ode on a Grecian Urn. We have read Ode on a Grecian Urn. Ode on a Nightingale too, I suppose. Write down these lines from John Keats. Where palsy, where WHERE, where palsy, PALSY, palsy means paralysis. Where palsy shakes, SHAKES, where palsy shakes a few, comma, sad, comma, last grey hairs grey hairs, HAIRS, full stop. Next line, where youth grows pale, where WHERE, youth grows pale, PALE, where youth grows pale, PALE, and spectre thin, and spectre, SPECTRE, spectre thin, and dies, DIES, where youth grows pale and spectre thin and dies, full stop. Last line, next line, where but to think, where WHERE, where but to think is to be full of sorrow, where but to think is to be full of sorrow. Sorrow, SORROW. Now, what is the peculiarity of this particular sentence? You will find that we have written 3 sentences and each and every sentence starts with the word where. So this is what anaphora is. Anaphora means there will be a repetition of the same word or words or clauses or the successive lines. So that becomes an example of anaphora. Okay, for anaphora I will stick to just one example, because in order to explain anaphora again and give you an example, another example of anaphora, you again need to write down 2 or 3 lines. So it's better we stick to just one example in this particular case. So I suppose it's very clear to you what anaphora is. It is actually the repetition of a word or words or clauses in more than one lines. And remember, it has to be a simultaneous existence. Suppose the first line starts with where policy shakes a few, the second line starts with but, and the third line starts again with where. In that particular case, that is not an example of anaphora. It has to be a simultaneous existence of those particular words existing line by line. Okay. So this is what anaphora is. So this is the 4th figure of speech for today. And the last figure of speech for today will be transferred epithet. Transferred epithet. TRANSFERRED. Transferred epithet. 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 T for TV, television. Okay. Transferred epithet is also known as hyperlage. Transferred epithet is also known as hyperlage. HYPALLAGE. Transferred epithet is also known as hyperlage. Okay. So now we will start again with the definition of what transferred epithet is all about. Okay. So the definition of transferred epithet: an epithet, EPITHET, is transferred from the proper subject. An epithet is transferred from the proper subject. An epithet is transferred from the proper subject to an accompanying thing. To an accompanying thing. ACCOMPANYING. Accompanying thing. I repeat this definition again. An epithet is transferred from the proper subject to an accompanying thing. Okay, so this is the definition of transferred epithet. Now again, let me give you an example. The first example, you can write it down. Gulliver spent a sleepless night. Gulliver spent a sleepless night. Gulliver spent a sleepless night. Okay. Now from this particular sentence, can you identify the adjective that has been used? You are quite correct. You have quite correctly guessed it. It is the word sleepless. Gulliver spent a sleepless night. Usually, an adjective describes a noun. But in this particular case, the adjective is placed before night. Can the night be sleepless? The night can never be sleepless. Who is sleepless? Definitely it is Gulliver who is sleepless. So the adjective sleepless, or in other words, the epithet sleepless, has been transferred from its original position, which was before Gulliver, to a position to which it does not belong. I hope you understood what I am trying to convey. The adjective or epithet sleepless has been transferred from its original place to a place to which it does not belong. To give you another example, the farmers marched a weary way. The farmers marched, M-A-R-C-H-E-D. The farmers marched a weary way, W-E-A-R-Y. The farmers marched a weary way. So you can identify the adjective from this particular sentence. It is weary. Weary is an adjective here. Weary means tired. And the adjective is placed before way. The road, the path, the ways can never be tired. Okay, who is tired? The farmers are tired. So the word weary, or the adjective or an epithet, or the epithet weary, has been transferred from its original place to a place to which it does not belong to. Okay, so this is what transferred epithet is all about. So these are the 5 figures of speech for today. We are left with 2 quite big figures of speech, quite heavyweight figures of speech. That will be our last class on figures of speech. So I will now be giving you certain assignments on figures of speech. And these assignments are to be duly completed along with your roll number to be sent to my WhatsApp number. Okay? Okay. So I'll be giving you 5 sentences for identification. The first sentence is, thrice was he armed. Thrice, T-H-R-I-C-E. Thrice, T-H-R-I-C-E. Thrice was he armed. A-R-M-E-D. Thrice was he armed. A-R-M-E-D. Okay, this is the first sentence. The second sentence. The skylark sings, S-I-N-G-S, sings and soars, S-O-A-R-S. The skylark sings and soars, comma, soars and sings. Soars, S-O-A-R-S, soars and sings. I repeat the sentence. The skylark sings and soars, comma, soars and sings. Okay. The third sentence. Third sentence. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. This is the third sentence, I suppose. Okay. The fourth sentence. Authority, A-U-T-H-O-R-I-T-Y, authority, A-U-T-H-O-R-I-T-Y, authority forgets, F-O-R-G-E-T-S, authority forgets a dying king. Authority forgets a dying, D-Y-I-N-G, dying king, K-I-N-G. Okay. Okay. The fifth line that we will be giving you is okay, which one? Acha. The leaves dead, D-E-A-D, the leaves dead are driven like ghosts. The leaves dead are driven, D-R-I-V-E-N, are driven like ghosts Ghosts, ghosts, from an enchanter fleeing, from an enchanter fleeing, Fleeing. The leaves dead are driven like ghosts from an enchanter fleeing, Fleeing, fleeing. Okay, so these are the 5 sentences for your assignment. Just you need to identify and you need to explain why that particular figure of speech has been used for this particular sentence. You need to explain, you need to comment on this particular sentence. Okay, so these are the 5 sentences that you need to cover. Now we come to the end of this particular session of ours. We will again be meeting soon with the last lecture on figure of speech, and then we will be providing some more assignments and some more exhaustive assignments, because in your exams there won't be single lines that will be asked. You will be given 4 or 5 lines from a particular poem or from some of the plays of Shakespeare, and you need to identify figures of speech from those particular 4 or 5 lines. So there won't be a single line 1, 2, 3, 4. There will be 4 or 5 lines, connected lines from a poem or Shakespeare or somewhere else, and you need to identify figures of speech. We will also practice that in one of our classes. Okay, so for today we end here. Have a safe weekend. Stay home, be safe, be happy, and keep others happy. With this, since I am making this video at midnight, so for me it's good night. But since we started this particular lecture with a good morning, so I think it ends with a kind of a good afternoon or something like that. Rather than being confused with these kind of complimentary words, let's end this session. Tata, have a good day.